Hey, everybody, as I stare at you. How's it going? We made it to Friday. And you're going to hear from Brian Anderson, founder of the Perception. What's up with the filter on this thing? It's like it's showing weird. It's showing just weird. Hold on. What does this do? Oh, I went away. All right, there we go. No, don't want that. Want that? Okay. Hi, StreamYard. I'm just experimenting. Here's the cool thing about StreamYard. They keep adding cool stuff, which I love. And they are one of the few approved vendors for LinkedIn Live, which is our bread and our butter. So speaking of Friday, so going back to Brian Anderson, we will have an episode of Year One coming up next week. Christian Ganny, one of the co-founders of Outerkind in Denver. This is an outstanding show. So if you're thinking about starting an agency, if you've, if you're maybe started one and you're just kind of in that first year, or maybe even after the first year, tune in because it's great learning, great wisdom. Great wisdom. The other thing, too, is we are going to be having an announcement on, I think it's on Monday. We're going to be announcing our 4 presidents. Yes, I said that right. 4 presidents for our Agency and People Award. This is the one for the rest of us, people. Weirdos, misfits, and underdogs. Little explanation up there. You can get your entry kit. Explaining the Hall of Fame, the Indie Hall of Fame we're opening up. We'll have to have like a space for this too. And since we're in Portland, it should be in Portland. That feels sufficiently correct. Who's eligible? Agencies. If you feel like your agency, your weirdos, misfits, and underdogs, enter the agency. How about your people and teams? It could be an individual. It could be a creative team. It could be an executive team. Then you can see what the entries are. So you can see 3 to 6 entries. We keep it super, super easy. Main deadline is Monday the 18th. Final deadline September 12th. And yes, if you want to, you can prepay for entries. We're trying to make sure that we keep the budget stuff cool for you. Now, here's the deal, too. If you are an Indie Agency News member, first of all, thank you for your support. But secondly, you can get 25% off each of those as well. So you just get in touch with me and we'll get that figured out. But again, today is Friday. And we've been doing, when we started this thing, we did something called Fun and Games. And we're going to bring that back. As you build something, you just realize, okay, some things work, some things aren't. And then you park certain things and you think, okay, I really think we need to do this, but we need to rethink it. We're still in rethinking mode for Fun and Games. We will bring it back. But also part of this too is we felt that this particular show that we want to launch made a lot of sense to do on Fridays too. So here is the gist of it. And over the years, again, noting the color of my hair, ergo, I've been in the business for a while, the hustle culture thing or the side hustle and all those things. I understand that they're important. And I understand that they feed a certain emotional part and a practical part. So if you are, let's say that you have and I'm not calling anybody out, but she's going to know who she is. If you have a cookie company as your side hustle, that could turn into a thing. But it's not so much about that side of it. What it comes down to is it's creative oxygen. And that's what I've talked about for years. Side hustled is, I feel, pejorative. It's negative. It connects too much to hustle culture that can be very toxic and can be very broken. Creative oxygen, on the other hand, is something that you do that allows you to get outside of yourself It allows you to do exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to breathe a little bit. And yeah, it might not necessarily be connected to the business or your job or the industry, but I can guarantee you it sure as hell makes people feel good. And when you're feeling good, when you go back to that role, that job, that agency, that work that you're doing, you're probably going to feel pretty balanced, isn't the right word. You're going to feel full in a way. It won't feel very one dimensional. You'll be able to pull from some of those things. So that's why we prefer to call it creative oxygen. And super stoked to have someone from the home team here in Portland. Sarah Magness is going to join us here in a second. But what I want to do is I want to play the trailer for the film that she did. So let's start with that, and then we are going to talk to Sarah about this project and then creative oxygen in general.
This is your lifeline. You need to always watch this one. Okay?
Come on. Stop, Manny. Your hair is so bad today.
Do you think stealing is bad?
In our opinions, it's not bad.
Breathe in, Manny. This is not much. We can't survive on this. You don't know where you've been?
I don't know.
You got no fucking idea.
It's a lot of loot. Where'd it come from?
No fucking idea.
Manny, the money! Oh no, the money!
Manny, get out of here!
Sarah Magness joining us today. Let's start with just run us through the story first, because I think that will help contextualize it. Because the trailer's great. I know the film's great. You had a showing at Hollywood Theater, was it?
No, Clinton Street Theater.
Clinton Street. Okay, one of the other awesome theaters here in Portland.
Yeah.
So walk us through the story.
Okay, well, it's about two kids living on the street. They're houseless, and they are sort of adults around them that are informing what they do. They're sort of living on the edge of a flea market, and all of the objects in the flea market are really exciting to them. There's a lot of people around. The objects that they see are sort of playthings, but they're also a form of survival, and they're sort of influenced to do various things, but they're really just living in the moment. And you kind of get to see how the adults around them are sort of informing their reality, but they're also living in their own reality. And their reality is really just play and imitation. And in the end, because they're influenced to do certain things, we might all judge them. They're essentially, there's repercussions for those actions. And but at the end, I think that there's this feeling of like their innocence and the freedom that lives within oneself can't really be taken away. It can't, despite the system and despite the influences around them. That's just really something that lives inside of us all, and that's something that you can't take away.
Right. Let's talk about the exploration of childhood survival, moral judgment through the eyes of children who are pickpocketing. Your son was in this as well. And the thing about this too is this film is designed to, it's designed to have a message. It's also, really important material, especially in light of, where we live, it's more acute. Houselessness is definitely much more acute.
Yeah.
But looking at it through the eyes of children is very interesting. So talk a little bit more about that, but also, you having your son, and then how you managed directing him with something that is really challenging.
Yeah, I thought it would be easier than it was. which is like
Parenting in general, right?
exactly everything I do every day with my kids. I'm like, this will be easy. And then it's not. And then afterwards, I'm like, of course it wasn't. I guess, yeah, just I think living in Portland is really interesting. I've definitely had experiences where my kids were playing on playgrounds and houseless children came and were playing with them. And they're really, everyone's a kid. They're just doing their thing. And there is no, they're just being themselves, being in the moment. And I think that's a really special thing. And then, simultaneous to that, I was, Basil, my child who played Manny, he's really big for his age. He's like a 10 or 11-year-old. And while, I'm sure that's going to be a great thing in his life at some point, he's often judged. His older brother is like 4.5 years older, and he wants to be friends with those kids. And then
right.
Teachers are constantly like, mad at him because he's like, gets upset and he'll punch someone, or he'll act in ways that seem like he should be beyond that at this point in his life. I just would notice that the things he was doing really, or the things that he was getting upset about, were really just him being himself and living in the moment. It's like a kid wants to be at the table and throw food at someone's face. I mean, they're just playing, and I can't say that I haven't wanted to throw food in someone's face at a certain point. Like, it's just,
Right?
we judge kids for being playful and experimenting. And he's a victim of that. And so while that was like stewing in my mind, I'm, also was feeling a lot of ambivalence about just capitalism and how we think about objects, and how, I'm probably obsessed with my phone. And then my kids, I wonder why my kids are obsessed with their screens that they have. And I'm sort of judging them, but really they're just mimicking what I'm doing. So all of that sort of came together and made me feel like this could be a really interesting story. Just like, and then bringing him along, because he's super gregarious, super passionate. He's definitely one of those people that likes people looking at him and is willing to kind of be risky, but he's also only 6 and is right. He's on the bridge of that moment in his life when he's about to become super self-conscious. So it was really a great time to make something like this.
Let's talk about the moment you knew you needed to make Angel Hair, but I want to frame it within telling your story, not the narrative story within the film.
Okay.
Your story, Sarah Magness's story.
Okay.
How did your experience in narrative production prepare you for filmmaking in general?
Well, I think it's like there's so many parallels. I mean, I'm so blessed to be around professionals, like real masters of their craft, whether that's directors or writers or stylists, just people that are very, they show up with process. And I really loathe the word process, but it's really like preparation. Yeah, it's
right.
It just means preparation. Like they're strategic about how they arrive at this moment that's filled with a ton of anxiety and adrenaline, and there's like really high stakes on set, and they've all prepared for that moment. Like, sure, there's people out there that can wing it and arrive at something beautiful, but I would say that that's like fewer and far between. And just being in the world of marketing and advertising, really just, you get to be around real professionals. And I've just learned from the process and witnessing those people throughout my career. And it helped me, like, just working with new personalities. And it just really helped me understand like exactly what I need as a director to show up and feel super confident in the moment, because you're in a moment. And that's another, I think, parallel is really in my job. I have to make quick decisions. And sometimes there's not there's not a one decision that is the right and best decision. It's really just going with your instincts, but using all of the things you've learned up until now. And you just kind of have to go with the choice that you've made, and doing that very quick is a thing that I've learned to do.
It's so interesting you say that. I was a morning show producer in radio for a number of years. And so this goes back to 1999.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Prince's favorite year and all of our favorite years. And it's interesting, out of all of the things that I've done, and it's interesting that you frame it that way, because I can empathize with this. Out of all of the things that I've done in my career, and they've all been, good, bad, and ugly. Mostly good.
Yeah.
Sometimes more ugly. A few times bad. The thing that I lean back on the most is being a morning show producer, because it is about doing things on the fly, ensuring that, X, Y, and Z, and making decisions. And you're right, they're not always the right decisions, but they're the decisions that are best made in that moment based upon the information that you have and what's been hardwired into you.
Totally.
And so, no, I think I completely get that. What advice would you give to especially young producers that might be starting out in their career? What are some of the things, and again, similarly to what I learned early on, what's some advice that you give a young producer to be conscious of making sure that they keep some of these things tucked away, that you and I are hardwired a certain way.
Right.
So how does a young or new producer start hardwiring themselves?
I think
It could be repetition, really.
I don't want to be general. Yeah, I think it's like for 1000%, like making mistakes is the way that you learn the best. I think I talk to producers about the best way to do something, but until they've done not that thing, because obviously I only give the best advice, but but until they've really made the mistake, that's when it sinks in. And being like willing to be really brave and do something, like go out on a limb and just try to talk to the director, try to find the talent that you are pretty sure would never take this job. Just go for it, because the worst thing that can happen is someone says no. I think that's really important. And then I think for me, I really try to talk to producers about, like, sure, it's your job to make sure we're on budget and like everyone arrives and we're on schedule, but it's also your job to make sure that the creative is beautiful and excellent. And so work with your director, like champion the vision, or if you, say something, if something feels wrong. I think it's maybe those are like general pieces of advice, but I think it's okay to be young and inexperienced and speak up. And it's really hard to do when you're at that point. I don't think I did it for a very long time. And I really, looking back, that there were times when I was right. There was times where I was an idiot and wrong, but I think it's okay to speak up. I think the people in the room that are laughed at and speaking up, like, people are chuckling under their cloaks. But if you're the person that's being laughed at, it's like, I'm still impressed by you because you spoke up and you were willing to do it. I'm still like, okay, that's the person that's going to be running the company and my boss when I'm like an elder and I need, something, I need a favor.
Yeah. Here's my advice when that happens. The first thought that goes into the head, fuck them.
Totally. Yeah.
And file it away, hardwire it in. Let's go back to angel hair for a second.
Okay.
Number one, the Dalles. For those who aren't familiar, the Dalles is, I would say it's more of a working class community. It's in the Columbia River Gorge. So when you start going east of Portland, you will go past Troutdale. You'll get into the Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area. Yep. It is one of the more beautiful places that you will see. You will go past, you'll go past the dam. You'll go past that. Then you'll go past a town named Hood River, which is a great place to stay. It is one of my favorite places on earth and where I would like to retire. But then you keep going and you end up in the Dalles. Explain the Dalles a little bit. And because when I watch the trailer, I see it, I feel it, I taste it. I really, really fully understand. But for those who don't have a view on that, explain the Dalles and why it was why you chose that location, and then also, as I understand it, it was pretty cold there.
It was very, very cold. Yeah, it was, but it was drier, and that's important.
It's a dry cold.
Yes. I mean, I just like had to do this thing when I had to do it. And I was like, Portland in November, not going to work. This has to be outside. We toyed with being indoors, but really the Dalles is like, there's something really special about the Dalles. And it's like a forgotten place. I think there's a lot of forgotten places in this country that, you know, it's not as curated. It doesn't have like the fancy restaurants. It doesn't have this like, you know, it's not catering to like the upper middle class culture that wants to get away for the weekend. It's really
Right.
just is who it is. And it's also, there's a dramatic geographical change that happens, or just the topography, if I'm just saying that word right, really feels different.
Right.
You cross through Hood River and it suddenly becomes like you're in the Old West. There's this weird feeling of like cowboys and like kind of dust that kind of emerges. And that was really cool. Like I just was a little like, hey, I've been in the Pacific Northwest for over 12 years. Like this just feels nice to be in this other landscape. And then just the idea of the flea market and the way the Dalles felt sort of like it's there, it's trying, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
like the little engine that it's trying
Right.
to be something else and
Right.
it's got its little main street, but it's still kind of like just far enough beyond Mount Hood that like people don't go that far. And like, you know, they stop in Hood River and that's really where they go. But I think it's a great place. And I think it's
I agree.
underappreciated, and you can get a much cheaper hotel if you want to go there and go jet over to Hood River and across the river to Washington.
Yeah, white salmon and Bingen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So
No, I love the Dalles. And you're right, because you go around Oregon and you do have a lot of towns like that.
yeah.
And I would argue, because you grew up, you grew up a good chunk of your life in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, and I'm originally from Minnesota. It's
Okay.
the same thing when you would go through some of these small towns in Minnesota and you go through the towns in Illinois. They may be forgotten in some ways, but they're wonderful places. They're beautiful places. And I think a lot of it starts with the people. And every time I've been in the Dalles, it's just, I feel a warmth and that's hard. That's real. I mean, that's very, very real. So I presume that vibe helped quite a lot, because you talk about something that's maybe overly curated, or if we're being honest, bougie.
Yeah.
But very, very, very real. So my presumption there is that as you're building this and as you're filming it and shooting it, that you may have a little bit more, I guess oxygen is the right thing, because you don't feel like you're being constrained, because when things get gentrified or overly bougie, it feels constrained. Whereas with this, anything is possible.
Absolutely. I mean, we got a location that was like a food cart pod, but a lot of the food carts had kind of just left. And so it was sort of an abandoned lot. And then there was a man next door. His name was Scott, Skot. Anyway, he had a very interesting spelling of the word Scott, but he had this like warehouse and he let us use the building and he let us use his lot. And then the lot, like, it just was sort of a wasteland with like this old boat, and the van that we ended up using was there, and we got to like just use his stuff. So it was like, it's kind of was like exactly right for what we needed in hindsight. And he was so giving, and he gave us, I mean, he saved us thousands and thousands of dollars just by being a generous human, and like, we were like, how are we going to bring a car here and then bring it back to wherever we get it from? But he had all these cars sitting there just ready for us to create sets out of. And
I love it.
that's a classic, like, I think a Dalles feeling. You know.
Well, and if you can save thousands of dollars, that's the thing.
Yes.
Let's dig in. This is the last question when we wrap up here. This is great. I mean, this is so great. I want to get into this idea of creative oxygen.
Okay.
And as I had opened the show, I talked about how there is a likely outdated mode of hustle culture, side hustles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I tend to prefer to reframe it into creative oxygen. Talk about the importance of creating personal work like this as creative oxygen, and how it influences what you do in your day job.
I mean, it's a great question. If you want to be a happy person, you have to do the things you love, right? And that just permeates into everything you do. So do you want to be someone that goes to your day job and is miserable?
Right.
I don't want to be that person. I just found myself at sort of a crossroads where I was like, I've been saying I want to do this thing and I haven't been doing it. And clearly, like, I'm just afraid of failing. And if I don't try it, like if I try it and I fail, so much better when I'm on my deathbed to feel that way. And maybe that's sort of a cliche notion at this point, but
Right.
I guess I think that advertising tends to pull in a lot of artists, right? Like it takes a lot of artistry to do everything that we do. And it feels creative. Like we're doing a lot of creative work. We're under pressure, we're under deadlines. And there's something really beautiful in the like making of stuff, whether it's for clients or for whatever business reason we're making a piece of, a film, a video, whatever it is. But I think like just making something that you have complete control over is just really, it's cathartic and it makes you better at your job because you're a more whole person. And I think you mentioned something about being full, like your cup is full when you get to be around your friends and creating something that's honestly your own. Because while I think the work that we do can feel very creative, it can also feel like, why did that client make that decision? Only we did this would be so much better. So
story of our lives, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, if only we could have made this other decisions, and it's just not up to you. So
Right.
that power is a really beautiful thing.
So accurate. So true. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, it's such great work. I can't wait to see what's next from you.
Thank you.
And the crew at Revery, and again, I love it when Portland comes to my doorstep in this forum.
Yeah.
Love everybody at Revery except Rick. No, I'm kidding.
He's probably watching. So.
Of course he is. And so yeah, backstory on that is I used to do winter lacrosse coaching.
Okay.
And when he was a much younger lad. So we have a long history together. Well, and the thing about it too is the more shit I give you, the more I love you. So
I feel the same way about anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Not be offended. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sarah, thanks so much. I'm going to put you backstage for a minute, but yeah, don't go away. It's not a Zoom call. All right, we'll be right back. Thank you so much. All right, to everybody, especially our members, thank you so much for joining us today. We got a lot of great stuff again next week. We seem to be filling up shows quite a bit. So it's August and nothing happens in August, but stuff is happening here. So my guess is we're going to have more shows as we keep going. And our goal is to be at a show per day. And we're well on our way. Thank you again to all of our members for supporting this mission. And it is mission-based. If you'd like to learn more, go to indieagency.news. There's a little button, as we say in the Delaware Valley, where my family is from. Button, not button, button. Capital of New Jersey is not Trenton, it's Trenton. But go there, learn more, and you can get in touch with me if you want to learn more information and if you're ready to sign up. You know what? I might have a little off-the-menu discount code, so get in touch with me. All right. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, Kyle O'Brien, Jessica Ferris, Angela Natividad, I'm Doug Zanger. See you next time.